So what does it take to find a city that's literally vanished from history? Well, for one man, it meant he had to vanish himself. This is an incredible story of a dangerous secret, an unbelievable disguise, and a discovery that was about to change the world.
All right, take a good look at this man. He goes by the name Sheikh Ibrahim, a devout Muslim scholar. But here's the thing. That's a complete lie. His real name is Johann Burckhardt, and he's a Swiss explorer on a mission so secret, so incredibly dangerous, that one wrong word, one single slip-up, would mean certain death. He's playing the most high-stakes role of his life, and his stage is the entire Middle East.
So you have to ask, why? Why would anyone go to such extreme, life-threatening lengths? To really get a handle on Burckhardt's mission, we need to zoom out for a second and look at the world he was so determined to get into.
See, at the turn of the 19th century, this whole region was basically a blank spot on European maps. It was this tantalizing void, hugely important for trade routes and strategy. Empires wanted in, and knowledge was everything. But it wasn't just unexplored, it was, for all intents and purposes, locked down. Westerners, or Franks as they were called, were seen with just incredible suspicion and hostility. Just showing up with a map and a compass, that wasn't just a bad idea, it was a potential death sentence. To see what was hidden, you couldn't be an outsider. You had to blend in completely.
And this is where the African Association of London enters the picture. Think of them as the masterminds behind some of the most daring expeditions of the era. They knew that to unlock these forbidden places, they couldn't just send in a soldier. They couldn't send a diplomat, no. They needed a whole new kind of explorer, someone who could literally dissolve into the local culture. They needed a ghost. And in Johann Burckhardt, they were pretty sure they'd found their man.
And just listen to the official language they used, right from his sponsors. They didn't just want a disguise, they demanded a degree of perfection that would make finding out who he really was extremely difficult. I mean, this was not a costume party. This was a complete and total teardown and rebuild of the self. It was a psychological marathon, just as demanding as any physical journey he would ever take.
So, how in the world do you forge a new identity from scratch? How do you take a Swiss academic and turn him into a completely convincing Arab sheik? Well, it took an almost superhuman level of dedication and, probably more importantly, a whole lot of time.
And this was no crash course. Burckhardt spent nearly 3 full years in Syria before he even started his main quest. 3 years just living, breathing, and thinking in this new identity. Aleppo was his training ground. He'd take these smaller journeys, constantly testing his cover, working on his accent, and just hardening himself to the brutal realities of life on the road.
The key to this whole thing was the depth of his immersion. It was this methodical, all-in process. We're not just talking textbook Arabic, we're talking about mastering local dialects. He wasn't just reading the Quran, he was diving into Islamic theology so deeply he could debate its finest points with actual scholars. Every tiny detail, how he stood, how he ate, everything was perfected. You know, to truly bring Sheikh Ibrahim to life, a part of Johann Burckhardt almost had to die.
But mastering the disguise, that was only half the battle. Surviving in it, that was a constant, nerve-shredding ordeal. Because suspicion, it was absolutely everywhere.
In his own journals, Burckhardt wrote about the inveterate hatred that so many locals had for Franks, for Europeans. Just think about that. He was walking through a world where his actual identity was a death sentence. This wasn't an explorer worried about bandits or bad weather. He was terrified of being unmasked as the one thing everyone around him had been taught to despise.
Can you imagine the psychological pressure? You can never, ever relax. Every casual chat about the crops, every question about where you grew up, it's a minefield. The guy you're sharing coffee with could be silently judging your accent, your knowledge, your very soul. There are no days off when your life depends on your performance, 24/7.
And then you get moments like this one, an actual account from his journal. A local sheikh, his eyes just full of suspicion, passes him a piece of paper. It's a pop quiz from hell. There's no time to think, no one to ask for help. He's getting tested on obscure geopolitics, the Sultan of China, and incredibly complex Islamic theology in the same breath. The pressure in that moment must have been just immense.
No, seriously, put yourself in his shoes for a second. The dead silence as you read that note, the eyes of the sheikh just boring into you, waiting. One flicker of doubt on your face, one answer that just sounds a little off, and this whole 3-year performance comes crashing down. And it would almost certainly take your life with it.
And as if the mental strain wasn't enough, there was the sheer physical punishment. And this wasn't just about being uncomfortable. It was a crucial part of the act. He writes about traveling for days with almost no water,
eating nothing but a single piece of dry bread for 24 hours just to keep up with his Bedouin companions. He couldn't ask for special treatment. He couldn't betray any European softness. He had to suffer right alongside them to be accepted by them.
But all of this risk, all of this pain and suffering, it all had a purpose. This grueling, all-consuming transformation was the key. It was the only key that could possibly unlock a secret the Western world had lost for centuries.
As Sheikh Ibrahim, Burckhardt could go where no European ever could. He could sit with Bedouins around a campfire, not as some suspicious outsider, but as a brother, a fellow traveler. And that's where he heard it. Whispers and rumors of incredible ruins hidden deep inside the mountains of Wadi Musa, the Valley of Moses, a ghost city, a place people only talked about in legends.
So even when he's on the verge of this massive discovery, the performance could not drop for a single second. He couldn't just pull out a notebook and start sketching like a tourist. No way. Every measurement he took, every observation he made, had to be done in haste and concealment. He was a scientific spy, gathering priceless intelligence with the constant fear of exposure breathing down his neck.
And this is the absolute genius of his method. He learns that there's a tomb for the prophet Aaron on a nearby mountain. So, using his flawless cover, he tells his guide he's made a vow to go there and sacrifice a goat. It was the perfect excuse. The guide, seeing nothing but a pious man fulfilling his duty, leads him down a narrow, winding canyon, the passage known as the Seek, and as they came out the other side, there it was, the legendary treasury of Petra, a site no Westerner had laid eyes on in over 600 years.
Johann Burckhardt paid an unbelievable price. He found one of the great wonders of the world, but he did it by becoming someone else entirely, a ghost in his own life. And it really makes you ask, where is the line between dedication and obsession? And what is the true personal cost of bringing the world's hidden wonders back into the light?